My name is Mike Charles Nahunu. My earliest memories started when I first started walking to school. I went to Martin Luther King. My mom used to drive us to school, and then one day I was like, hey, Mom, I think I could walk to school. And being a crazy Jamaican mom she is, she was like, okay. Next day, I was walking to school. So my main point of reference was the Hartford Public Library that's still there today. So that's how when I was walking down Albany Avenue, and I would walk to the Albany branch and then take that right either before it or after it, depending on the scenery. And that's kind of my earliest experience. And I probably must have been like 6 or 7 years old. It's a symbol, it's a symbol of power, if I would say, because they say knowledge is power. I would definitely say that I learned more from my failures. I actually feel like failures are successes in a way, because at least you would know what not to do. And success is about doing things that are repeatable. So the more repeatable good actions you take, the better route to your success that you have. So the failures, you embrace them. As hard as it is, you have to embrace them, because you don't have no choice but to embrace them if you really truly want success. I would definitely say failures is what really makes me who I am, and I think most successful people, or even more successful than me, would agree. So the role that reading played for me, I would say, is everything. The two tools my mom trained me was the Bible and the dictionary. So I've always been raised to know the value of reading, the value of words, and the value of books. And, people of our ethnicity, we weren't really privy to having a love for reading, but I was fortunate to have a love for reading because of the knowledge I would need to get from it. So it was not so much that I loved reading per se, but if I wanted to get information, I have to read to get that information. More so when I got older is when I embraced it, but that's what the role it played for me. My mom, she would always go to the library to get information, especially for legal information, right? Because you didn't really have lawyers and things like that, especially we couldn't really afford lawyers. So she would go to the library and stay there all day if necessary. The advice I would give the young people on Sterling Street today, just in urban cities in general, is don't take the availability and access for the library and resources for granted at all. Because while we are here now have free access, full access, it wasn't always that way. And the people who fought for us to have those liberties, they fought and died and went through some real traumas to be able to get that. In fact, I just finished reading a book, autobiography about Booker T. Washington. I always knew about him, but I never really knew his story until I read that, and to see how he overcome and what he went through. I think libraries are important because in a day where you have a lot of different distractions, you have your Googles, you have resources you can go online, but when you go to like a physical library, you have people, and I'm of a belief that there's value in people. Sometimes you can't go on Google and get assisted like a real human being is there who will sit with you, guide you to the right area. And it's not just about books at libraries. It's a good place for you to just network. In fact, in a quiet setting, there's a tremendous amount of business deals that's been done in library, or at least kicked off in libraries. And then people are like-minded because, normally some people may perceive them as like boring or just a bunch of books. No, but when you have purpose in life and you're driven, and then you find yourself in a library, you'll meet other people who are ahead of you who will help you. And then you pay it forward. So you either see people behind you, you help them. And it's just this virtuous cycle that I think is very important. The main thing that Hartford Public Library turning 250 years old means to me, it just shows its importance. Because if something was invaluable, it would be destroyed. Something else would take place to serve as a replacement or an alternative to a library. So it just shows you how the people that matter think it's important. And so for it to exist for so long, and I clearly would see another 250 years as well, because it's a resource. In a data age, information is critical. I love this initiative that we want to bring awareness to its importance to all people and be an influence. That's what it means to me. Libraries are undervalued. because there are so much distractions now, especially in this digital age. It's like almost a second home, or it could serve as a second home, at least for some families. I know my kids, every week we go to the library, spend at least 2 hours. And I just feel like the more people can kind of see the library as an alternative, and a lot of libraries now, they do activities tailored for children, tailored for all ages. They do different seminars, they do gatherings. I mean, it's the ultimate place. I don't know how life would be without a library, honestly. For me, you have church, you got a library. If it weren't for libraries, I'd probably be just kind of detached from the world, especially now. You have the smartphones, you get access to stuff you shouldn't have access to. And the younger it is, my kids showing me how to use the phone. You won't really have a foundation, or at least something to ground you, keep you grounded. And then you can just get caught up. You just get in trouble, ultimately. And the reason why people don't really see or acknowledge its importance is just maybe it comes back to the home. Like I gave an example, my mom, she trained us to see the value of it. So I'm definitely blessed in that sense, because nowadays I'm a rat when it comes to getting information. They have the digital and you have the physical. And I'm of the belief that it shouldn't be replaced completely with digital. You should still have that physical connection, that people-to-people connection in a post-COVID world. The advice I would have for parents as it relates to inner city libraries, first and foremost, try to be the biggest influence on your kids because you're battling media. Second point is to use that influence to influence your kids to find a love in it. For some of the things I do is I have my son or my daughter, I'll cash app them maybe $5 per book that she would read, kind of give some incentive. Whether they finish it or not, it's just for them to understand books. And this is at the library, physical books, right? Not really online, because I see it worked with me, with my mom. So I'm going to pass that down. There you go, a generational passage. First and foremost, credit to the library now because they're doing something right. They have for 250 years. Times are always changing. So staying in touch with what the kids are interested in so you can attract them. I'll say definitely keep staff that is youthful. They say a little child shall lead the way. So once you have youth on your staff, I think that they will kind of drive when it comes to innovation. And you know how hierarchical structures are. It's hard to change it like a speedboat versus a ship, but to just be very open when it comes to innovation, embrace some of these ideas, and then try to mesh it together. By giving it that approach, you will stay relevant. Young people get bored easy. You'll be surprised that a lot of these urban problems could be curtailed by just having something that they do to distract them from their distractions. I think the staff really investing in good people who truly loves people, especially children. It's simple, but is important. You're talking about humanity, you're talking about saving lives, but there's a lot of different solutions that get tossed around. A lot of it talks about investments, and if you want to really take some, especially public funds, you can definitely prioritize libraries. But we would need to articulate the value to these stakeholders and these investors to know, okay, with detail, we have 250 years of data that you can leverage. It's not easy, but it's definitely possible. If you do the poll right now and just ask any random person on the street, they're all going to be like, oh, it's important. And if you do that same poll, even if it's anonymous with elected officials, they're all going to say it's important. But then there's that gap of knowing it's important and then doing something about it. That gray area is where we got to kind of really dig in and use a stronger microscope. Since we're on the topic of libraries, there's a lot of music business books that they can start reading. Part of the reason why me and my partner, Keandre Gillespie, Paper Boys, why we were ahead of our time is because we understood the value of books. We used to read certain books that gave us knowledge on how to move. We had a hidden meaning behind Paper Boys. Paper Boys meaning paper, get your diploma paper. It was bigger than just fiat currency, which is paper. I think kids that want to be artists should definitely embrace knowledge and then learn, in a sense, how to do things on their own. Learn how to hire people, for example. I would definitely say that you are somebody who's important as a figurehead and a fixture because you're a product of this environment. everyone knows or will know eventually your story, and you're living your story and your dream out on TV. So people that see that, the respect you get on all levels, from the ground floor to the top floor, and being where you're from and seeing you fixed in the library system, I think that's powerful and is an example of likely why we're approaching 250 years. The key word that you say in there that I think we could land on is legacy. Legacy is something that should be cherished more. 250 years, that's legacy, and we all leaving a legacy.
Thank you for listening to 250 Stories, a production of HPL Studios at Hartford Public Library. This episode was written and produced by Christopher T. Brown, sound by Sam Sigmund, edited by Faith Lucas, and with photography and graphic design support from Hartford Public Library's communications team and the Hartford History Center. For more information on this project, visit www.hplstudios.hplct.org. New episodes release every Tuesday, so subscribe to stay tuned.